Kassandra. Welcome up. Can we have an excited round of applause, please? Thank you.
All right, thanks everybody. So this talk is called On-Chain Privacy Now, and it's more of an intervention than it is a talk, and these are some names that you can call me. So this talk is not about any fancy ZK scheme or speeding up some new bleeding edge cryptography. This type of work is extremely important and has been, I think, exceeding everyone's expectations in how fast it's moving. However, I think where we're lacking is taking all these tools that are now ready for prime time and putting them into practice. So today, we actually have the technology. We're going to see a list of tools, the amount of things that are fully in production, shipped. And so what's most important is starting to imagine the kinds of user experiences we can create, the types of privacy experiences that we can create with all of this amazing technology that's there. And this is still highly lacking. So in my opinion, what's the goal? The goal is to give users fine-grained control over revealing how their on-chain activities are linked to different identities. And the reality is less than 1% of users have any privacy at all on Ethereum today. So we have the technology, let's put it into practice. So I think if I leave you with anything in this talk, it's that we have to rethink the Ethereum wallet user experience from the ground up. I think we're at a pivotal moment right now in Ethereum after things like 7702 going live, where we can completely reshape how we use the authentication layer to interact with the chain, with applications, and so forth. So it's really important that we have a ton of people thinking in different directions about what kind of user experiences can we create. And I'm really excited about what's possible now. I think for privacy to actually work, it needs to scale. And if we have to seek out privacy with particular specific privacy-based applications, it's going to be really hard to reach that scale. And this is why I believe the Ethereum wallet layer, especially if we were to maybe get some shared standards where privacy is just embedded in all the wallet clients that you know and love today, then we might really have a shot at having a lot more privacy on-chain and like an acceleration of the amount of privacy that people have. And there are these compounding effects with privacy where you reach a certain threshold and everyone disappears. So one other topic that I'm really, really interested in, and I just think is super important for making this shift in Ethereum wallet UX, is that we need to break this relationship to specific addresses as identities. And it's understandable how we're here. What I mean is, how many of you use like one main address for most of your interactions on chain on Ethereum? Okay, a few. Everyone probably, when you use a browser-based wallet, you have to switch between addresses, right? So addresses are somehow, each address, you operate on that address individually, using that specific key pair to make signatures. And all of this embeds the idea that an address is an identity to some extent. And we really need to get away from this. A user is not an address. Your identity is not an address. A wallet is not an address and an address by address construction. I would love to see Ethereum wallets looking much more like Bitcoin wallets, where your account is something that you operate over seamlessly, a single account. You might have a couple of different accounts, but each account is actually an abstraction over a lot of address space. And again, this becomes easy and possible today thanks to things like 7702, because before that, it was understandable why this link happened, right? In order to initiate transactions on the Ethereum blockchain, you were required to have ETH in a key pair, in an EOA. And so this sort of forces everyone to think about the wallet in this way. But I think we have to, if we can make this break, then I think we'll be able to have imagine a wallet user experience, which is really for the, I guess, for the future, for the 21st century. So I really would challenge people to try to think through wallet UX where you break this habit of thinking address by address. So we need a new approach. And we have a tremendous amount of tools for the new approaches that we can envision here today. So we have EIPs for things like chain-specific addresses, for cross-chain intents, and for interop in like the open intent standard, which is gaining a lot of traction. I think these are really, really important. Everyone, I think there's been a lot of ink spilled online about how Ethereum can deal with fragmentation across EVM chains, and chain-specific addresses and interop can really, really help here and can be embedded directly in the wallet. You have a bunch of privacy technology like stealth addresses, which I'm a major champion of, really excited about because I see them as a very practical approach to get some basic privacy when receiving. Stealth addresses, the TLDR is there basically a way for someone who wants to send to you to send to a private address that they know you control without you having to send them that private address. They can generate it on their side, on the sender side. And this is really nice for every time someone wants to send to kzg.eth, under the hood, your wallet will just send to some randomized address that I will be able to find and control. We also have mixers. We just heard from Railgun, super inspiring talk, privacy pools, Tornado Cash, etc. This technology was, bleeding edge cryptography a few years ago. Now it's fully deployed. Everybody knows about it. Everyone knows how it works. Amazing. We now have these EOA superpowers with 7702, kind of like almost full account abstraction. We have gas abstraction relayers with ERC4337. And we also need a standard, a different way to think about wallet and app interactions. If a wallet isn't thinking about, it isn't operating from a single address and creating the call data just from that address to interact with the app, then you need a way for the app to tell the wallet, hey, here's the call data for the app-related interactions, but the wallet can fill that out with the extra set of things it's doing with cross-chain intents and maybe things with privacy under the hood. So these are all really important. And then finally, we also need to worry about things like the RPC layer, communications, et cetera, ways to not actually leak your IP and lose privacy in other dimensions. And we have a lot of stuff here. We just heard from the founder of Hopper and Waku, Tor, et cetera, a lot of things for making sure that our communications online stay private. And then finally, we have things coming soon. Lightweight local nodes so that we don't even need to query third-party RPCs. We already have things like Helios. Soon we'll have fully private ZK rollups like Aztec in production. Soon we may have things like full account abstraction with 7701. So there are a few things that are still coming soon, but everything before the last two there are things that you can utilize today. And the issue, or the gauntlet that I want to leave for all of you here, is the only thing left to do is to start putting these Legos together to build something new, to build the new standard for Ethereum wallets. All this stuff is ready for you to use, so who's going to build it? Are you going to build it? I will build it with you. Lastly, I think I put a little tweet of mine here, but I think what's important is to remember that any friction for privacy, and people won't use it. So it's awesome to create all kinds of solutions, but if you make some sort of proprietary solution and try to build network effects around only your solution, you're only hurting the plight of actual practical privacy for everyone on Ethereum. And so I really believe we need free open source software. We need open standards that lots of different teams and projects and companies agree upon. We need that because we need a seamless user experience. And if there's any cost, people will go, I don't care about privacy. I don't have anything to hide. So I believe we can do this and we should do this. And the last part of my talk here, I don't know how much time I have left, but okay, great. Is maybe my proposal for a potential proposal for some standards we could have for a new type of wallet and embedding privacy and some new features into the wallet. So here we have this idea. So we already have this standard on Ethereum and Bitcoin, which is like a BIP32, which is how a seed phrase generates a big bag of private keys for you to use. What I believe, again, is we need to break the habit of thinking, okay, each account by account, each address by address is like a user identity and a user account, and we need a larger abstraction. So from a seed phrase, I believe we can have something like a user identity, and this user identity would be something like Bob.eth here. But Bob.eth is not just a single EOA, a single address. It's also some multi-chain abstraction. So you have Bob.eth at Optimism, Bob.eth on Ethereum, Bob.eth on Arbitrum, et cetera, et cetera. Each of these might resolve to different addresses rather than the same address being ambiguously used across chains. Now, let's unbundle what the Bob.eth account, where I'm envisioning a browser wallet where you want to interact with an app. You simply do that. You do one authorization like you do today to interact with Uniswap and provide liquidity, let's say. And for you, it feels just like it feels today, maybe even a bit better. However, maybe some cross-chain built in. However, under the hood, you actually have a much more complex wallet construction. One where Bob generates different addresses to interact with different applications or credentials and so forth. So if it's on Bob's side, when they want to do something new, they would generate these addresses. Maybe when receiving from third parties, Bob could always receive to stealth addresses and integrates with the stealth address protocol. And so Bob has funds littered across all different types of many, many different anonymous accounts. Finally, the seed phrase and this one account space, this user identity, also contains the mixer credentials for some sort of mixing protocol, a ZK Snark protocol, which allows for you to mix funds into a pool and anonymize yourself as a sender. And so you can imagine that this whole abstraction here, so Bob might have funds, you might have some funds like USDC sitting in the mixer, might have some other funds like Bubble Token that Bob was receiving from different participants sitting in a bunch of stealth addresses. And now Bob wants to provide liquidity on Uniswap for USDC Bubble Token. And in my view, a potential UX that could work if you have the right relaying infrastructure and so forth is that Bob will simply say, yes, provide liquidity to Uniswap, and Uniswap will send the call data for the DApp level interaction. But the wallet is actually going to send to some relayers some signed data that's going to allow them to 7702 all the stealth address accounts, so that then it can forward all the Bubble Token and all the stealth address into a new address that Bob generates. Some USDC will also come out of the mixer protocol into this new address that Bob generates, and then that address will supply liquidity to Uniswap on USDC and Bubble Token. And finally, to pay the relayer for this, Bob will use some anonymized ETH. And hopefully this interaction would be bundled with a number of other users as well, and you might have some full usage across all different applications and so forth, but you have a lot more privacy and much more obfuscation of the chain. And if this were a standard, Bob could take his seed phrase to a different wallet and voila, find all their funds in the mixer, in the stealth addresses, and the generated addresses. So I have no more time left, but thanks to all these people and many more who are thinking about these things, and please, let's roll our sleeves up and build it. Thank you.